Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Today I want to share a mixed media page that I made for my homemade art journal, and I am working with CAS-ual Fridays stamps and stencils for the most part. They are sponsoring our challenge over at Cut It Up, and I welcome you to come on over and play along with us. Our theme is animals or insects. Now, if you choose to play along, the only real requirement besides following the theme is you must include a die cut. So let's get started on my page. Starting here with this stencil from CAS-ual Fridays. It's a floral stencil, and I have some Ranger ink, and the ink color is Vintage Photo. My goal here is to just add some different textures to the page. I'm adding it in about 3 or 4 different places, trying to be a little bit heavier handed on the outside of the page and make it a little lighter on the inside. I really enjoyed working with this stencil. It's very easy to use and the cleanup is exceptional. All right. So once I've got my stenciling done, I'm just going to go ahead and ink around the edges here, giving it sort of a worn look, and it just borders out the page a little bit, gives it a finish. Now you'll notice there in the left-hand corner of this piece of paper, there is a cut mark. I found this piece, it was a scrap piece, and when I cut it to size, I noticed, oh, there's a cut mark in there from where I had cut previously. But I'm not worried about that because I have an idea of how I'm going to cover that up, and you will see that later in the video. So here's my homemade journal. I have not actually bound it yet, but you can see that I'm working on the back of a page that I've already done. So that's always a little bit tricky. And you're going to notice here as I am adding a little bit of this Peacock Feathers Distress ink on this side. I have to work around the gauze and the feather that's on the other side. I'm working real hard to keep that feather nice and white. All right, so after inking up all around that page in the book, I'm going to go back to the piece that I'm going to be gluing in to the book. And I'm using some New England ivy, and I'm going to create a stamped border around 3 sides. I'm going to do this just by using part of the stamp, and I will link below the names of all of these stamps from CAS-ual Fridays. And I'm just going right side up, upside down, only using part of the stamp. And I thought it was kind of fun. It created a fun border. Now I'm coming in and I'm doing some second generation stamping. Again with, I believe I'm using some, the New England ivy, yes. And I'm just stamping around on the page, just filling some blank spots. Again, here's another stamp from that same stamp set that I was using before. Again, using second generation stamping. Now I'm going over to the Dragonfly stamp, and I just want the word smile. So you'll see here that I'm using this Ranger ink, and I'm only stamping the smile part. I'm only inking up that one little word out of that sentiment. It's not that hard to do. It takes a minute just to line it up, but it's not that hard. So I go ahead and I stamp that around, and now I'm going to wishes, and I will go in and do that with New England ivy also. I am returning to the floral stamp set, and I'm going to pick up this little leaf cluster, And this is a very, very light blue, so I don't need to do second generation stamping. I can just bring it in and stamp around. Again, I'm just trying to fill in some of the blank space just to give my paper some background texture here. Now I'm distressing the edges just to give it sort of a natural nature look. And there's that little place that I want to take care of. And here's how I'm going to take care of it. I'm using one of those, I think they call them zip strips or tear strips from a piece of cardstock from Close to My Heart. This is the part that has a little pattern on the front, and on the back it has the name of the paper. So I'm using that just to cover that up. The colors were perfect. It has that turquoise color of the peacock feathers, and it has the browns. So I thought this is just beautiful. Bringing in a very retired stamp set from Close to My Heart. It's little leaf pattern. Again, I'm just working to just add more texture to the background. And now I'm bringing in a script stamp, which is also retired from Close to My Heart, using a little chocolate ink, which is a retired color from Close to My Heart. And I'm adding that to the page. All right, time to cut those dragonflies. So I'm going to go ahead and get these die cuts, and I've already stamped. I stamped them in chocolate on some Close to My Heart paper that is long retired. I'm sure this was just a scrap of paper that I had. As you can see, I'm going to carefully tape it down into place so that it doesn't move on me while I'm cutting. I'm going to cut this on my Spellbinders Grand Caliber. I love this cutter. I love it because it's big. You can cut 8.5 wide on it. So there aren't a lot of cutters out there that can cut that wide. And if you're doing something like wedding invitations or something, it's really nice. Okay, so I've got my little dragonfly cut, and now I'm going to be adding some cheesecloth or a bandage gauze underneath there. I'm just sort of pulling it apart just to give it a little shape and make it look like it's been used a little bit. I put some color on it there with an ink pad, and I'm adding some blue thread. Coming in with a dark blue ink. This stamp is from the Floral CAS-ual Fridays stamp set that we were using earlier. Happy Thoughts. I thought that would make a nice sentiment for my page. So I'll tell you, I'm a little nervous sometimes when I stamp. It's like, oh, please stamp correctly the first time, because if not, then I'm going to have to add another layer with my sentiment and change things. So let's see how it goes. It's great. Good. All right. So now we move on. Here are some little Puffy Stamps in gold. These were real popular a few years back, and I had them in my stash, and I thought, ooh, let's add those. Now here you see me adding that little zip strip or you know, cardstock strip down there. I sort of didn't think about the fact that there are words on the back of that, but I fixed that in a minute. You'll see in the finished project at the end, you'll see that there's gold ribbon behind that, and that's how I remedied that. And it looked fine with what I had on the back of the page, because the back of the page was actually done in blues and golds. So it worked out just fine. All right, these flowers are most likely Prima. I've had them in my stash for a long time. The button has that marbleized sort of look because it's a plastic button colored over with a Copic marker. And it just creates that look when you color over it. So we're going to finish up this page with a few gems. I'm just going to place some blue gems and some little tan gems around the page. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll leave for you all of the information you need about this project below in the description box. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.